And these are 5 things that we think all of us need to think about, if not must-dos for business and IT leaders today. So the first of these is what we'll call asymmetry in business. Now, how do you define asymmetry? Unequal or unbalanced. The idea of power between 2 opponents where one clearly is dominating or able to overcome the other. And that's exactly what we see in business today. People are changing rules of the game. And this is incumbents, and this includes VMware. We're one of those incumbents as well. And there are these new startups with nothing to lose that are embracing new models who are attacking and threatening the incumbents. Now, this idea of startups isn't particularly new. It's existed for decades, if not hundreds of years. But what has changed is that mobile cloud technology has enabled a vast set of shared resources to create an asymmetric battle. And if we think about the internet, unlimited reach. If we think about these mobile phones that we carry, we now have unlimited access. And if we think about cloud, we have unlimited scale. And as we think about that, we'll simply summarize imperative number 1 into elephants must learn to dance, or maybe stated in more business terms, where we have to innovate like a startup and deliver like an enterprise. Imperative number 1. When we thought about that, as we described the 3 things of reach of the internet economy, we said, the scale of the cloud, the reach of mobility, and the effects of the internet. And those 3, let's look a little bit deeper at the cloud, because we think that cloud has been such a fabulous driving force of the changes underway, but we're now entering the professional era of the cloud, leaving the experimental era. And if we maybe had a visual image of the cloud that we've constructed so far, it maybe looks like this. And you might be able to get across the river, but it's a pretty inefficient way to get there. Limited connectivity and capability to get across. And what's led to this? We have the private cloud we've been building, which is largely focused on IT as we know it today, where it's cost-driven and we're pulling out costs, and it's slow and complex applications that are being driven, but it has powerful governance and does what I need it to do where I need it for compliance purposes. And on the other side, we have public cloud, which is fast and is able to scale effectively, but it has weak governance and doesn't meet many of the requirements of performance. A disconnected and disjointed picture we have today. And as we look to the future, we need to go to the professional era where we've built an environment that is that enables efficiency, governance, speed, and growth. And we'll simply call that, and this is what Carl was describing on Monday, with a unified hybrid cloud, where applications are launched to the span, not to the silo. And the idea of building to the span is simply what we would call hybrid applications. And this is what Raghu was talking about, that an application is built realizing that there are components of it in the public cloud, pieces of it in the private cloud, and we bring those together through common networking, management, and security. A seamless experience across the 2. Simply put, the unified hybrid cloud is the future. And maybe just a bit tongue-in-cheek, can't my clouds just get along? And this is the future that we see that we need to pursue. The third imperative is security. And following Martine and his conversation, security challenge is about protecting people, apps, and data. And this, we believe, is the core of what we need to accomplish as an industry. And we don't do security to protect a particular server, to just hold an edge of a data center, or to protect a specific router or infrastructure component. Security's purpose is to protect people, to protect apps, to protect data. And what we now can do, for the first time, we truly can architect in security. And virtualization enables that layer of alignment and ubiquity. And making a bold proclamation today, we firmly believe that architected in security allows us to be twice as secure at half the cost. And this, we believe, is a fundamental game changer in accomplishing a secure infrastructure for the future. We believe, a time for a renaissance in security has begun. Security renaissance has now begun. Seize the day. If we ponder and look forward a bit, what is the next wave of innovation in IT? What is that next big thing beyond what we've done so far? Now, how many of you remember some of those early days of artificial intelligence about 30 years ago? That period of AI was a failure. It didn't live up anywhere near to the hype. Last year, we had a major campus opening for VMware, and we had John Hennessy, the president of Stanford, come and join us at the time. And when he was asked what is the most important technology that will emerge over the next several years, he said AI. It takes about 30 years for these fundamental core technologies to emerge, to gestate. And I agree with him. This is the heart of the next wave of innovation. And we'll see this ushering in an age that we go from being reactive to being proactive. And we're on this cusp of an era where software agents and capabilities working on our behalf will simply change human experiences. And maybe picking on the famous line from Star Wars, "How might I serve you?" Automate everything. Rule one of building the cloud: ruthlessly automate everything. Collect every piece of data, keep it forever, and that will allow us to predict almost everything going into the future. And the final one is, we are entering the decade of the greatest change that has ever occurred in industry and in IT. A prediction by the Washington University is 40% of the S&P will disappear in the next 10 years. Right? And I believe that that change will be even more traumatic for the IT industry. And I'll go out on the limb and saying of the top 100 IT companies, 50 of them will disappear in the next decade. And the benefits of incumbency are declining. This was a study from McKinsey. You know, how many years does a company stay in the S&P 500? Look at this, 90 years, right back in 1935. Today, 17 years, and that continues to decline, and you're off the wrist. Simply put, imperative 5 is welcome to the age of rattling the cage, or maybe in business terms, taking risks becomes the lowest risk. You must break out to stay relevant in this future.